Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. I came home to the second plate and a week left in the sink like a dare. Cold pasta welded to the bowl, a note on the fridge, "Don't wait up." No smiley. No thanks for the overtime that paid the rent. 2 months earlier, Emily got laid off from a marketing job she loved more than any holiday. And since then she'd been talking to me like I was the cable company that kept dropping her service. She started sleeping on the edge of the bed, back turned, headphones in. I told myself it was a phase. Phases end. I loaded the dishwasher, wiped the counter, and breathed through the silence like it was a necessary tax. If I'd known where this was headed, I would have stocked up on coffee and patience, or skipped straight to new rules. The next morning she drifted in around 8. Hair up, sweatshirt from a spin studio she never went to anymore. She set her keys down like they were heavier than usual. "You're up early," she tossed over her shoulder. "Up every day at 6. I answered, putting my travel mug in my bag. "Work keeps the lights on." She pulled a face. "Passive-aggressive is such a flattering color on you." "I'm not wearing it. I'm wearing reality." I zipped the bag. "Rent's due Friday. We're short." She leaned on the island. "If you're going to make me feel guilty, just say it." "I'm going to make a decision," I told her. "We're moving. Found a place closer to my shop. Cheaper rent, decent street, small yard. I'm signing the application tonight." Her eyes flared. "You can't just decide that." "I can when I'm the one covering everything," I said, even, not loud. "I would have preferred us deciding. You've been busy not talking." She crossed her arms. "This is what you do? You bulldoze." "This is what I do when the house starts burning," I replied, slinging my bag over my shoulder. "You can come see it at lunch. Or not. But I'm not paying for a place we can't afford because pride feels cozy." She stared at me, surprised I didn't ask for permission twice. "I'll look at the listing," she muttered. "Great. And breakfast dishes go in the washer, not in the sink museum." I grabbed my keys and left her in the kitchen, radio silence and all. At work, Mike, the guy who's been next to me on the shop floor for 8 years, watched me tighten a bolt and not curse when it slipped. "You've been flinty," he said, not a question. "Home's a freezer," I told him. "I'm defrosting it by moving south 4 blocks." He grinned. "Bring heat guns." At noon, Emily texted, "That house has a weird porch." Then, an hour later, "It's fine. Whatever." I read "whatever" as a reluctant yes. Good enough. I finished my shift, signed the lease, and told her we had 3 weeks. I booked the truck, updated the address, rerouted the internet. Action beats talk every time. We packed mostly in silence. She labeled boxes, kitchen, and miscellaneous, like the life we built was an unlabeled tangle. On move-in day, the small rental greeted us with scuffed floors, a stubborn front door, and a backyard that looked like a patchy haircut. I felt relief anyway. Money Math stopped screaming. The first night, she picked at a salad while I assembled a basic TV stand. "You going to judge me for not eating more?" she prodded. "I'm going to ask if you want the bedroom curtains up tonight or tomorrow." She sighed. "Tonight. I hate being on display." "Then hold the bracket," I said, offering it to her. Small jobs handled like a team. We did 2 windows without a fight. Progress, or camouflage. By day 3, I set the first boundary. "I'm splitting the budget," I told her at the table with the spreadsheets. "Your card is your card. Groceries and rent I'll handle. Extras, gas, dinners out, each pays their own. Until you're back on your feet." She bristled. "So you're punishing me?" "I'm protecting us from debt and me from resentment," I said. "You want to make a choice Saturday, brunch, manicure, whatever, make it. But I won't be the villain and the wallet at the same time." She looked at the numbers and went quiet. 10 minutes later, she surprised me. She brewed fresh coffee. Slid a mug my way. "You're right," she said, eyes on the table. "I've been not useful." I tasted the coffee. It was good. "Useful isn't the measure," I said. "Respect is." "I hear you," she nodded soft. "I'll be better." Mid-turn, the first soften. I wanted to believe it. I let myself relax an inch. We watched a show and didn't talk through it. At bedtime, she moved closer than the usual polar distance, then turned back again. The inch closed back up. She took long walks. She grabbed wine with Lisa, then with a different Lisa, then with people I remembered as names from old office parties. She was home, not home. I stopped pushing for full schedules and started posting hours on a whiteboard. Who's where, when, why. I wrote, housewarming, Saturday 6 p.m. Invite list, neighbors, friends, your sister. I looked at her. A party, she lifted a brow. We just landed, I said. We set a tone. We're not pitiful. We're part of the block. She smirked. You want everyone to see how fast you fixed the cabinet doors. I want to meet the people we'll borrow sugar from, I said. And I want you in the room with me, not hiding from the room. She checked her phone. I'll come, she said, like it was charity. Saturday came with a grill that worked when it felt like it and a cooler full of cans. The neighbor on one side was retired Navy, the kind who shakes your hand like he's checking if it's attached. On the other side was Kayla, 27, graphic designer, talkative, a rescue mutt named Toby. She brought brownies and an energy that made our dull living room look brighter. Welcome to the circus, Mike said, thumping my shoulder as he arrived with his wife, Jules, who carried a bowl of some quinoa thing I pretended to understand. It's a good house, Kayla told Emily near the chips. He did all this? She pointed at the shelves I'd mounted and the backyard lights I'd strung. 2 days in a toolbox, I said, shrugging. You're efficient, Kayla laughed. Wish I could rent you for a weekend. My fence is a disaster. Don't hype him. Emily cut in, half smile, half knife. He'll start charging. Maybe you lucked out, Kayla teased, nudging Emily. Seriously, he's on it. Emily's smile turned sharp. Take him, she said, louder than the music, enough for Mike to glance over. I'll swap for your lawnmower. Way more practical. The air dipped. Kayla's eyes flicked to me, then to Emily, measuring if this was a joke. Emily took a sip and looked pleased with herself, like she'd finally said something entertaining. That's bold, Kayla said, dry. It's a deal. Emily pushed, like she was auditioning for the neighborhood roast. Maybe he can hang your lights while he's at it. Kayla looked at me, deadpan. What's your rate? Depends, I said, easy. If payment is carbs, I accept brownies. Brownies, and Kayla reached into her purse and pulled out a folded stack. And 500 says you can buy a new mower. Mine will be useful. She held it out with a face that said, I can play this game too. Mike coughed. Jules pretended to adjust the snack bowls. The Navy neighbor stared into his soda like it had gossip. Emily's eyebrows went up. She wasn't expecting someone to cash the bit. Kayla hooked her hand around my wrist. Come on, she said, smiling. Let's write a receipt. People laughed, awkward and relieved for an exit. I looked at Emily. She lifted her cup as if toasting. I went with Kayla, still playing along, because there's a line between letting a joke die and letting it bury you. We crossed the yard to her place with Toby zigzagging at our heels. Inside, her living room was bright and tidy in a way that said she had work and a life. She dropped the cash on the coffee table and gave me a level look. I don't actually want to buy you, she said. That was me telling her she said something ugly. I got it, I told her, picking up the money and handing it back. I'm not a rental item. And I'm not for sale. Sorry you got dragged into that circus. You don't owe me an apology, she said. You handled it. Cool under fire. I'm more practical than dramatic, I said, glancing at her fence through the window. That fence really is listing. I'll fix it next weekend. No money. Just don't tell my wife I work fast. Kayla sat on the arm of a chair. What's going on in there? Lay off, I said. She's been mean to the person who stayed. I keep hoping she'll come back to earth. That joke wasn't nothing, Kayla said. It wasn't a joke. I know. We talked longer than I planned to. Work. Her design clients. My shop. I told her about splitting the budget and posting the schedule. I didn't badmouth Emily. I kept to facts. Kayla listened like a grown-up. It felt rare after weeks of being treated like a walking bill. Around 11, a knock hit her door like a hammer. Then another. Then my name through the wood, sharp. Open up, Emily called. I see you, I saw you go in. Enough. Kayla looked at me. I nodded. I'll handle it. I opened the door. Emily stood there flushed, eyes hard. Get home, she snapped. Now. Kayla, thanks for the chat, I said, ignoring the volume. I'll fix that fence. And sorry about the 500 theater. Kayla raised the returned money. I'm keeping the brownies, she said. Good night. Back in our doorway, Emily spun. You left our party to what? Flirt? Parade yourself? Embarrass me? You traded me for a lawn mower in front of my friends, I said, stepping inside. I removed myself from your stage. You're unbelievable, she spit. You always make it about you. I made it about us not burning the neighborhood down on day one. We'll discuss this without an audience. I'm discussing it now, she barked, following me to the kitchen. You're a liar. That thing with Kayla. There was no thing, I cut in. There was a line you crossed. That's what happened. She slammed her cup onto the counter. You know what? This is all because of you. Lay it out then, I said. I'm curious how I caused your job to vanish. You've been distant, she threw, grasping. And smug. You decided to move without me. You split the money like I'm a child. I moved us out of debt, I replied. I split the money so you could make choices without resenting me for funding them. I've been steady while you've been gone. That's the truth. Don't you dare talk to me like you're my manager. I'm your husband, I said, voice flat. And when my wife puts me on a swap table for a tool in front of a new neighbor, the husband takes the mic back. She pushed away from the counter. You slept at her house. I sat on her couch and refused her cash. She wanted to undo your stunt with dignity. We talked. That's it. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to decide if you want to keep running this at a volume or meet me like an adult. Because I'm at the end of my patience line. She crossed her arms. Of course you're the victim. I'm not, I said. I'm the guy who can sleep somewhere else tonight. Do it, she snapped. Go. See if your new friend makes space for your ego. The kill turn was smaller than a slam and larger than a whisper. It was the moment I stopped negotiating with a storm. I went to the bedroom, pulled a duffel from under the bed, and packed clothes for 3 days. I took my work boots from the closet, my charger from the outlet. No yelling, just an inventory of dignity. I set my key on the table and swapped it for the spare hidden outside, handed her the visible one. What is this? She demanded. Control of the door stays with whoever treats it like a home, I said. I'll be at Mike's. Phone stays open for logistics only. No midnight knocks. If you want to talk tomorrow, it'll be in daylight, at the table, with the phones face down and voices normal. If you'd rather keep shouting, we can keep living separately. She stared. You can't just. I can, I said. And I just did. I left. Mike's garage smelled like motor oil and sanity. He tossed me a blanket and a look. You want the couch or the air mattress? He asked. Couch is fine, I told him, dropping the duffel. Housewarming was warm. He snorted. Jules told me. You handled it. Proud of you. She's going to light me up tonight, I said. She's not used to you moving first, he said. That's all. He left me with the quiet. At 1:14 a.m. my phone lit. 10 messages. I turned it face down. My rule was my rule. At 7:05 a.m., a single text. Can we talk like adults, please? Then a call. I picked up. Morning. Her voice was small. I was awful. You want to talk? I said. Time and place. Now? Home. Phone's on the table, I said. No raising voices. If it goes sideways, I leave and we reschedule. Okay, she whispered. Please. When I walked in, she was at the table, hair combed, eyes tired, box of tissues untouched between us. She slid her phone across to the middle like it was a white flag. I did the same. I thought last night about what I've been doing, she said, no preamble. I have been cruel. I've been punishing you for something you didn't do. I leaned back, not magnanimous, just listening. I lost my job and I felt disposable, she continued. And I made you pay for it because you were here and I knew you wouldn't leave. Correction, I replied. You knew I wouldn't leave loudly. She swallowed. Right. I took advantage of that. I took every kind thing you did and twisted it. I made a joke at your expense in front of people we just met. It wasn't funny. It was mean. And then I went to find you so I could be louder about it. And you still didn't explode. No, I said. I left. Because I'm not a prop. She nodded fast. Please don't end us. Please. I am ashamed of how I've been. I am scared that I broke something I can't fix. I want a chance to earn back what I wore down. Words are wind, I said. What happens when you feel powerless again? What's the plan you follow instead of turning me into a target? She took a breath, looked me in the eye. Structure. I'm making one. I called my former boss this morning and asked for leads. I'll be in 3 networking calls this week. I'm signing up for a contract platform today. I'll put the calendar on the board with yours. Also, I want us to set a rule. No jokes about each other at parties. None. Not about money. Not about work. Not about intimacy. I thought I was being witty. I wasn't. I broke something. And the nights out that end with notes on the fridge? I asked. She winced. I've been hiding. It won't be like that. If I'm with someone, you'll know who and when I'm back. And I'll be back by 11. No more disappearing. I'm not your warden, I said. I'm your partner. I require respect to keep that job. I know, she said. Tears she didn't dramatize gathering, but not falling. I want to fix it, not perform fixing. Do you? Do I have any chance? You have one, I told her. With conditions. She leaned in. Name them. 1. We split the space like we split the budget. If we're not good, there's no forced closeness. We share a bed when we choose it. No weaponizing distance and no weaponizing proximity. 2. Plain talk. If you're angry, you say what about. You don't test me in public to see if I'm still here. 3. When you feel like showcasing me as a punchline, you leave the room and you text me instead. I'll meet you there, not in a crowd. She nodded, fast. Yes. And 4, I added. I'm not a lawnmower. If someone ever tries to buy me again in front of you, you shake their hand and say, we don't do that here. A laugh escaped her, not giddy, just honest and embarrassed. We don't do that here, she repeated. Then, quieter, I really am sorry, Mark. I watched her a beat longer. I'll stay, I said. Not because I'm afraid to start over. Because I remember us when we are good. This is the last reset I have in me. I won't waste it, she said. She reached a hand out. Palm up, no drama. I placed mine there. That was the whole ceremony. By afternoon, she moved with purpose I hadn't seen in months. She cleaned up after breakfast without being asked, then went to her laptop. I heard her on calls. I heard her say sentences an adult says about accountability. She came to the garage while I tightened a shelf bracket and stood there with a mason jar of iced tea. I'm making enchiladas tonight, she said. Your way? I eyed her. You don't cook my way. I'm learning, she replied. Also, I texted Kayla. I'm going to apologize to her. Today. That's a good start, I said. She hesitated. Also, I want us to do the housewarming follow-up dinner you wanted. Small. Mike and Jules. The Navy neighbor. And Kayla. But I want to host it right. That can happen. Thanks for not leaving for real, she added. I did leave, I answered. I just came back. 2 days later, I got home to a sticky note on the whiteboard. Interview Thursday, 10 a.m. contract lead. Dinner at 6. Home by 9 if I go for coffee with Lisa. That's how grown-ups write about time. Emily met me at the door with something else I didn't see coming. A simple hug, not a guilt offering, not a trap. Can I ask you something? She said after. Shoot. Will you help Kayla with that fence this weekend? I told her we owe her a fence and an apology. And by we I mean me. Yeah, I said deadpan. I'll bring my professional lawnmower husband kit. She cracked a smile and took it without flinching. Progress. The follow-up dinner landed a week after the party. I grilled. The Navy neighbor brought a potato salad that tasted like it had rank. Mike gave me the look he gives when he thinks I'm about to fix a car with duct tape, and Jules hovered like the social glue she is. Kayla arrived with Toby and a 6-pack of sparkling water. Before we eat, Emily said, clearing her throat, a little pale, I need to say something. She didn't look at me first. She looked at Kayla. I embarrassed you at our party. I tried to be funny, and I was unkind. Thank you for not letting it slide. And I'm sorry, Mark, for treating you like a punchline. That won't happen again. We don't do that here. Kayla snorted. That's right. She tapped her chin to Emily's. Friends, then? Friends, Emily said, and this time it didn't sound like a line to save face. We ate. People talked. Nobody was tense. After dinner, Kayla and I went to look at her fence, measuring where the rot started and where the posts needed replacing. Thanks again for handling that night, Kayla said low. Thanks for forcing a mirror, I replied. On the way back, we passed Emily carrying out a tray of watermelon. She paused. 500, she said to Kayla deadpan. Kayla froze, then saw Emily's grin. Emily held up an envelope. I'm returning your joke. I don't keep money I didn't earn, but I did keep the line. It's a good one. Kayla laughed. Deal. Inside the ordinary days, we kept doing ordinary work. Emily landed a small contract writing product pages. She sat with her laptop in the mornings, editing with focus instead of scrolling anger. When she left to meet a friend, she wrote it on the board first. There were still nights where I could tell she was carrying a weight, but she didn't drop it on me. She set it down between us, and we both looked at it. A week later, We had our second soften, this time not tactical. I got home to find a toolbox open on the floor and Emily, hair tied back, replacing a cabinet hinge with a YouTube tutorial paused on her phone. She glanced up. "Don't hover," she said. "I'll get it." "You will," I agreed, leaning on the doorframe. When the hinge bit and the door stopped listing, she looked at me like she felt the planet tilt back toward normal. "Come here," she said, hand out again. Same plain gesture. It meant more than speeches. I paid attention to how her changes worked, not just the shape of them. She asked my opinion about a pitch email. She kept her voice level even when she was frustrated. She didn't use late nights as a weapon. She checked me sometimes too. When I came home short because a customer demanded a miracle we couldn't deliver, she put a glass of water in my hand and said, "Tell me the facts, not the feelings you're trying to swallow." That's how winners talk. By the time fall rolled in, the yard was cleaner, our budget stopped screaming, and Kayla's fence stood upright like it had finally had a good night's sleep. On a Saturday, we cleaned out the garage together. She held the ladder while I replaced a light bulb, and she didn't make any jokes about me being replaceable. We had our first real closeness in weeks, by choice, not out of fear. The rule held, shared when we both wanted it, not used as a prize or punishment. One evening, the Navy neighbor waved me over while I hauled trash to the curb. "Saw the party," he said. "Saw the second party." Sometimes a course correction looks like a fight. Sometimes it looks like someone finally reading the map. "You sound like a manual," I said. "I am a manual," he smirked. "You two are going to be fine." Months later, Emily's contract turned into a steady stream of projects. Not the old office, not the same title, but work that she owned, with clients who didn't pretend her worth was a chair that could be pulled away at a meeting. She didn't become a different person. She became the one I married, minus the contempt she'd been using to hold herself together. We didn't erase that night. We let it do its job. Every time someone new came by, the story resurfaced in a gentler key. "Remember when I tried to trademark for a mower?" Emily would say. "Terrible bargain." Kayla would grin. "500 for a guy who can fix fences and doesn't panic under pressure?" I got robbed. "Next time," Emily would deadpan, "I'll start at 1,000. Not for sale," I'd remind them. "But I'll throw in a free fence inspection." We only told the story because of what came after it. Not because embarrassment is entertaining, but because it marked where the line moved. We installed new rules in that house like we installed shelves. Level, anchored, checked twice. One Sunday, I took the truck out for a joyride that smelled like wood and old baseball gloves. I met Mike at the coffee spot near the shop. "How is home?" he asked, stirring sugar into his drink like he was building a small pile to keep himself busy. "Quiet," I said. "Good kind. She's on a call with a client in Portland. We're arguing about which holiday lights actually look like stars. Normal arguments. The kind you don't lose sleep over." "And you?" he asked. "You still ready to move first when you have to?" "Always," I told him. "I'm not looking for trouble. I'm looking for respect. We have it again. But if we lose it, I know where I put my bag." He raised his cup. "To knowing where your bag is." At home that night, Emily put a small box on the table. Inside was a note and a clean key on a fresh ring. "What's this?" I asked. She tapped the note. "Symbolic ceremony, no speeches. To the door that keeps us in, not out. And a key that says ours, not mine. Also a gift card from Kayla. For a lawnmower tune-up. Because she will never let that go." I laughed. "We earned the joke." "We did," she said, leaning on the island where the fight started months ago. "Thank you for not yelling me into changing. Thank you for leaving just enough that I heard it." "I didn't leave to punish you," I said. "I left to keep respect alive somewhere, even if it had to live on Mike's couch for a night." "I know," she answered. "I don't want it to move out again." We didn't become saints. We bumped elbows on schedules. We disagreed about small things that felt big at 9 at night. But she didn't disappear into the night with a sticky note. She didn't run me through public tests. When she felt the burn of insecurity, she told me, "I'm spiraling. I need to step out." And then she stepped back in with clarity instead of a grudge. I matched her. That's how grown people keep a house from going dark. Kayla stayed part of our orbit. The three of us became the kind of neighbors who grab each other's packages off the porch. Toby ate 2 of my burgers, and I forgave him both times. Mike and Jules came by for football, and the Navy neighbor pretended to hate our new string lights until I caught him looking at them for a beat too long. Sometimes after dinner, Emily and I sat on the steps, the kind of quiet that tastes like a job done right. She'd tilt her head at me. "You still ready to pack a bag if I start treating you like an appliance?" she'd ask, half kidding, half checking the foundation. "Bag is always ready," I'd say, "but I like it better in the closet." She'd nudge me with her shoulder. Same. The last time Kayla pulled the 500 out for show, because no one forgets a good bid, Emily beat her to it and handed me a folded paper check. "What's this?" I asked. "Back pay," she said, face straight. "For the lawn services you didn't render, the husband rental you declined, and the fence fix you delivered anyway." Kayla groaned. "You two are impossible." "Structured," I corrected. That night, before we turned in, Emily wrote on the board in her neat handwriting, "Friday, dinner with Kayla. Saturday, Mark's garage time. Sunday, my client call. Every day, no jokes at each other's expense." She underlined the last line. I took the marker and added, "Every day, respect before comfort." She nodded. "We don't do it any other way." So no, I didn't walk away from my marriage. I walked away from contempt, once, hard enough that the message stuck. I put rules in place and kept them. I allowed one return, not because I was weak, but because I saw the person I married fighting their way back through bad habits. She proved it, not by crying or promising, but by doing. And I kept pace. The house we almost burned down is now the house people asked to borrow a drill from. There's a used mower in the shed that runs just fine. The fence is straight. The calendar is full of work and dinners and dumb errands. It's ordinary. It's ours. And when someone new asks how we met Kayla, we shrug and say, "Long story,